Hi guys, today I'm here to do the I Am the Reader book tag, and this book tag was inspired by The Reader by Tracy, is it Chi? And it's book one of Sea of Ink and Gold. It's a very pretty book, and Penguin Teen actually sent me this book to read and review, and they actually are the ones that created this tag. There's like maybe 7 questions or so, I think, and so I'll get to that in just a second. But thank you, Penguin Teen, for sponsoring this video, and they're the ones that came up with the questions and stuff. You're going to see it all over booktube pretty soon. If you've never heard of this book, it centers around a world where nobody reads. The main girl ends up discovering a book. She eventually figures out it's a book, and at some way she ends up like learning how to read, and she uses it to like track down her aunt who has been kidnapped, and she also finds out a lot of like information on her father who was killed. And it just sounds really good because it's a fantasy adventure story, which is like my favorite, and it has pirates, which like anything with pirates I love. Like growing up, that was like my jam. Like we're going to talk about some questions soon about like reading when I was younger and stuff. But pirate books, oh man, I love pirate books. This book is on sale on September 13th, so it's going to be out very, very soon. Because this is a fantasy set in a world where nobody reads, in this book tag, we're just kind of like celebrating what makes us readers. Let's dive into the questions. Question number 1 is to choose one word that describes being a reader. This is pretty hard, but I'm going to say the word obsessive because this is not for like all readers, obviously. But this is maybe just more my personality. But I've just become so much more like obsessive about books. And ever since I've been like a reader my whole life, but I just love books. I love anything to do with books. I love looking at books like in bookstores, even if I know I have no money to spend on them, just browsing them. I love finding out about new books that are coming out, old books that have been out for years and years before even my time. I love organizing my books on my bookshelves. I love talking about books to you guys on here, in person to people. I love giving my books to people so they can read them. Pretty much just like, I love that some books you read, you know, are just kind of like whatever, but some books just like take over your life for a day or a week or a month. And I just love that. I love that I just get obsessive about books, and it's just what I'm passionate about, which is why I have a YouTube channel all about books, obviously. But I just love that books bring out such like passion in me, I guess. And I love that I just get so excited about books, and yes. And yeah, I'm just kind of a little bit obsessed with books, if you guys didn't already know that. Question number 2, what is the very first book that you fell in love with? I remember reading so many books when I was younger. I remember going into the library, and I remember like browsing the books. I loved finding series to read so I could like read all the books. And I loved reading like the Magic Tree House books. One of my favorite books though was Once Upon a Marigold, and I now think that there's a couple more after that first one, but I didn't know, like at the time I just read the first one. And I loved that book. It was about like some guy and like, was it a troll or something that lived in a cave, and like Princess Marigold and like her mother was like plotting to end her or something. I don't even know. But Once Upon a Marigold was, I think, one of the first books that got me like in love with like reading books about like kings and queens and princesses. I went through this phase of my life while I was reading where I just devoured anything to do with like kings and queens and princesses, anything like fictional or those one series. Every time I do a video, I forget what they're called, but it was like a whole series, and it was over like different princesses and real people like Marie Antoinette, and it had like a book for each, like, you know, and I loved reading those because they were like based off of like a true story. But I think it was just kind of tweaked a little bit, you know, for like young readers to enjoy. Anyways, but I was like obsessive. I wanted to be a princess. Not like 5-year-old me wanted to be a princess. I'm saying I was like 10, 11, 12, 13 years old and wanting to be a princess, but secretly. So I just read books about princesses and all of that. So I really don't know like the first book I fell in love with. Like my memory is crap, honestly. I do remember loving the Shadow Children series, and that was like the first like sort of dystopian series I think that I ever loved. Oh, actually, I guess The Giver was dystopian, but I don't remember when I read that. Anyways, like The Giver, the Shadow Children series, those were like some of the first dystopian books that like got me into loving dystopian. So like I'll always like appreciate those for like getting me into that genre because I love it. Question number 3, hardcover or paperback? And hardcover. So I mean I like reading paperbacks, like they're lighter and you know whatever. But I kind of think of like long term. I think that hardcover like books are gonna like last longer, and I really want to like have these books forever and like let my children read them and like someday grandchildren. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but you know, I love to reread books. I feel like sometimes books, you know, they just get beat up. So I feel like hardcover, it's just like a better investment sort of, but with no dust jackets. So dust jackets really annoy me, and I know that I'm not the only reader that thinks this, but you guys don't ever really see that because whenever I like haul books, like that book I just showed you, it had the dust jacket on it. And like whenever I do book hauls, I keep the dust jackets. And whenever you see pictures on my Instagram, there's dust jackets on the books because I feel like that's how I should take the picture or whatever. But when I read a book, I take that dust jacket off immediately. I hate reading books with dust jackets, and I think a lot of other people do this, but I have a very specific reason why, and it's really weird. I probably shouldn't even tell people this, like you guys are gonna think I'm really strange. But growing up, Beauty and the Beast was my favorite Disney movie. It was Lion King and Beauty and the Beast. I still have a very special place in my heart for, well, both of those, but especially Beauty and the Beast. I love like all retellings. I love it. So in that movie, Belle always has a hardcover book, and it's always like naked. Like she always has just a book like this. You never see her with like some crazy design carrying around, and actually she has a blue one at like one part of the movie. But I feel like I grew up seeing that, thinking like you had to just have it plain, and it's fine like on your shelf, I guess, with the dust jacket, but I feel like when you read your book, you should always like have it plain like this. I don't know, it's weird. It's just this weird thing that I've always done, but I think it's like important for you. So like so you guys don't see that, but if you like lived with me, you would know that the book I'm currently reading is always naked. And I usually just like leave these like either on the shelf or like on my nightstand or on the coffee table or something, like, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's just really important to me. I don't know why, but it really bothers me when the dust jacket's on there. They like slide around. If you want to be really practical about it, that's why. But really, it's just because I've like always done that ever since Belle. That's really weird, but it's true. Question number 4 is, how has reading shaped your identity? I am definitely way more empathetic. I think readers in general are way more empathetic than like non-readers. I definitely consider like what other people are thinking and feeling, and I definitely I feel like I'm more caring and like compassionate because of that, and I feel like I'm a lot more understanding, and in some cases I'm probably like a better friend because of it, because I like think of other people's feelings and not just like about myself. And it's really shaped my identity as far as like, I think my friends and family just know how much I love books, and like all growing up, like for Christmas and birthdays, I always received books, especially on Christmas. And yeah, it's just like part of who I am now. Like everyone that really knows me just like knows I'm a reader. And it's funny when like people come to my house for the first time or something, or like they know Jake or something but not me, and they come in and they see my bookshelves and they're like, whoa, you like to read. That's usually like the first thing, and the second thing is, oh, you must like Harry Potter. Not so much anymore, but I used to have like a whole thing devoted to Harry Potter. Anymore, it's just my hardcovers are at the top, and then on my TBR shelf above it is like where I have like my Harry Potter stuff. So it's a little bit like less in the kind of middle of everything, but it's still like on display for sure. And then of course here online, I mean, obviously on BookTube, and you know, with all of that, like obviously I'm identified like as a reader, which makes me so happy, and like I love everything to do with like BookTube and all of that, and I'm really excited to get to like start spending some more time on it and stuff, especially because like I'm actually leaving my job at the end of this month. So I'm kind of excited about that. And I don't know, it really makes me happy. It really makes me happy to make these videos, but more importantly, it makes me happy to read. Question number 5, what book do you read when you need to be comforted? And I went through a phase in high school when I would read like Twilight, and it comforted me. I don't know, it just did. It's now been for a while now, the Harry Potter series, and it's the truth. It really does comfort me. Like if I don't know what I'm reading or something, or I just pick up one of the books and I start reading, and I usually am always like, I feel better no matter what's happened. There's just something super comforting about that, and I know a lot of people would agree with me, so that really just kind of shows how incredible like the Harry Potter universe is, and how incredible and talented J.K. Rowling is, that she has managed to like comfort that many people. But it's true, and it's just, I mean, you really, if you've read the series, you understand, but it's really comforting for some reason. Question number 6 is, who taught me to be a reader, or did I do it all by myself? And I don't think I did it all by myself. I think my librarian definitely had a big impact, especially when I was 10, 11, 12, and then on to when I was in the next school when I was 13 and 14. I definitely think those librarians really shaped me as like a reader, because I think that my reading just increased and I just read so much more. I also did accelerated reader, and that competition kind of side of me came out, and I like always wanted to be the best, so I really just like tried really hard with that. And then the other people, I would say, like just being honest, like no one in my family reads. Like my mom, dad, brothers, sisters, like no one reads. But I do have an aunt, and I do have some cousins that read, and they always read like classics and stuff. And so I was always over at their house, and I think they were a huge influence on that aspect, because I really, if it wasn't for them, I guarantee you, I like wouldn't have read the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which is really sad. I wouldn't have probably read the Chronicles of Narnia. I wouldn't have probably read later on like Pride and Prejudice. I wouldn't have, like, they introduced me to Jane Austen, and they introduced me to some of my favorites actually ever. So they really kind of pushed me, I feel like, with reading, and I will always be thankful for that. Question number 7 is to describe your like dream reading lounge. And this is easy. So there has to be like big windows, but where there's not windows, I just want it to like lined up with bookshelves. And I want a fireplace for the winter. And super comfy, like couches, chairs. Yes, I want to be comfortable and warm. And I want to be like, I want a lot of natural light and maybe some like twinkly lights. I think I just described a library. But it's my reading lounge. I want it. Question number 8 is a book that changed the way I act or see the world. And this is kind of hard because I feel like a lot of books growing up kind of changed the way I acted and saw the world. But, and I think I still occasionally read books that like do that, which is incredible. But I'm going to go with the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I mentioned that already, but I think up until that point, like I was a Christian, I went to church with my family, but I didn't really do anything, and that was pretty much it. But I read those books, and more specifically, I read the last book, and I just remember it kind of changing the way that I saw things, and it kind of made me change the way I acted a little bit. I think it just kind of gave me like a little bit of dose of reality to get me to like wake up and to kind of just be a bit more active and not go through the motions and just like call myself a Christian. And yeah, so I really definitely think that kind of changed some of the ways like I think about religion, which is awesome. And so yeah, I really appreciate, again, like my cousins who got me to read those books, and those books have like a special place in my heart now because of that. So that was the book tag. Thank you very much, Penguin Teen, for sending me this book, for creating this book tag. If you guys want to do this book tag, I tag you. Do it. Let me know in the comments if you did it, or maybe you could just like leave in the comments like your answers to a couple of these questions. If you agree with anything I said, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. If you've read any of these books I mentioned, definitely check this out. Here in just a matter of days it will be out, like less than 2 weeks it will be out. And that's pretty much it. But thank you guys very much for watching, and I have a whole bunch of videos that I have like filmed. I just need to edit and get uploaded. So you're gonna see a lot from me in the next like matter of like a week or two. I'm actually gonna go bake some chocolate chip cookies. Thank you guys very much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.